Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burris, owner of eWeb Results.
Sure? Maybe.
Literally, I'm looking, because I know I wore an old shirt today, right? So I'm looking in the image going, hey, I'm wearing my eWeb style shirt. I should just replace them because I haven't got around to that yet. Yeah. And then saying eWeb Results at the same time. So
reading style, saying results made you say
stop. So my name is Chris Burris. I am the owner of eWeb Results, and right next to me is
my name is Charles Lewis. I'm your client results advocate.
And this is podcast number 353. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we have a tip from our previous podcast, and that tip is try social commenting plugins to prevent comment spam.
Like if you have a blog or a forum or whatever it is, and you like focus on user-generated content, sometimes it can get spammy. Try like a Facebook comments plugin, has some benefits. People can comment, those posts get shared more frequently, and they get higher engagement because these people are likely already logged into Facebook. Take advantage.
Boom. If my position, this is going smoothly today. All right. Please remember, we're filmed live here in Houston, Texas, and Chuck and I, we are your friendly local neighborhood top position snatchers, and our mantra is
do not be a douche.
Do not be a douche. It is
not a good look.
Not a good look. All right. So just a teaser of what we are covering today. We are covering literally everything that happened in 16 as it relates to internet marketing. And when I say everything, I really mean everything.
Half of it. It means everything, but half of everything. So, we do this podcast every week. Yeah. And so we're at the end of 2016. We got this week and then next week, and then that will be no more 2016. And so for those fans who we've been had, you know what happens this time of year. Yeah. End of the year review. Well, we'll review all 52 podcasts from the previous year. That's a mouthful. So we'll get through about 29 of those today, about 25 of those today. We'll get to the rest of the other 25 next week. And this will be our 2016 part one end of the year podcast review.
So half of everything.
Half of everything.
Exactly right. At some point, I will just stop talking and then it'll get a whole lot smoother. Actually, that's not going to happen today.
Yeah, it won't ever happen.
If you can, if you have an electronic device, we would ask that you tweet now. Right now. What should they tweet?
Be sure to use the hashtag Best SEO Podcast or hashtag SEO Podcast. Tag us in it at Best SEO Podcast at eWeb Results. This is number 353. That way we can follow you back and do all of our social networking stuff.
Perfect. Hey, if this is the first time you've listened to the podcast, howdy, welcome. You've got an exciting podcast
to have you
in front of you. If you've listened to this podcast before, I don't know, say like Manny or Marcus. Thank you guys for tuning in on Facebook Live.
Ashley, that's my question. We're gonna get to her in a little bit.
Oh, cool. We'll get to her question in a little bit. I'm confirming. I'll just sit here and confirm. If you've listened to the podcast before, you know what we're about to skip. And what we're about to skip is where we tell you exactly how to write a review. And the way you cause us to skip that section is you write at least one review. So if we get a review, hopefully you'll make that review 5 stars. And if we get 10 shikos.
Psycho was, by the way, a term that came out of 2016. I think that's a win for us.
Absolutely.
Coming up with the term psycho. A psycho is an eWeb Results branded term, means social engagement, shares, likes, follows.
Psychos. All right, so if we get 10 shikos on any one of the platforms that we're on, so that'd be like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and we get a review, then we skip the section where we tell you how to write a review. What we will do, though, is tell you how to psycho us. Where to psycho. You guys know how. Just where to do it. And those places are places like Facebook.com/eWeb
Results,
Twitter.com/eWeb
Results,
YouTube.com/eWeb Results, Instagram.com/eWeb
Results,
and LinkedIn.com/company/eWeb. Any one of those profiles, that's our profile on those platforms, and do the needful, which is Shiko us. Absolutely. Listen, if you're a PHP genius or a WordPress guru, we are looking for you. Go ahead and leave an audio resume, 713-510-7846. If you would like a free website profit analysis.
Keyword profit analysis, other keyword comprehensive.
both. All you need to do is go to our website, ewebresults.com, click that green button, and you will get that profit analysis. And you said no algo cat. There is no algo cataclysm today. So you want to jump into the news, or you want to do some
I got some news, and I got news and tips. Let's do news first.
Let's do my news because it's usually less relevant. We'll get that out of the way. Google is responding to skewed Holocaust results. So this is, did you see that? Yeah,
I did see that.
It's an interesting situation, right? Where if you just Google, I know, did the Holocaust happen
was the key phrase that kind of triggered that.
And then like the first three the first three positions were like, no, it didn't ever happen. And what is Google's responsibility? Because that's the content that's out there that's related to this phrase. And so they're actually kind of stepping up to the plate and going to make some decisions.
Made them. Yeah. Now, what got me was how they made them. Rather than take a manual action and just fix it,
right?
They chose an algorithmic action,
which they tend to do.
But they didn't tell what the algorithmic action was.
Right.
But they just made a change. And so now all of a sudden, sites that aren't as accurate don't rank as high.
So somehow Google is figuring out what's true, which is with an algorithm, which is probably both really, really good and also really, really scary.
Yeah, well, because the algorithms can get tricked. You know, at the end of the day, you know, the site that was ranking was a fairly new site, but it had everything it needed. It had good content. It had links built to it. It was mobile friendly. It had the things necessary to rank for a term like that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Google has to fix that.
Interesting. Next, 7-Eleven was actually the first company to do drone deliveries. They did like 77 drone deliveries in an area around one of their stores. We actually don't have 7-Elevens here in Houston.
Yeah, we used to a long time ago.
Yeah, I heard
they got beat by Stop and Go, or
I thought they got ran out of town. I heard that they had gotten run out of town by the Bible thumpers way back in the day because they had, you know, the dirty magazines in the newsstands. That's what I heard.
Like every store has dirty magazines.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought, well, this is really stupid and maybe not true.
Yeah, I remember when Stop and Go came in and bought most of them out. And then they began changing from 7-Eleven to Stop and Go. Then Diamond Shamrock came and took over Stop and Go, which is now Valero.
Yeah. Anyway, so 7-Eleven is one of the largest convenience store chains in the United States, and they made the first drone delivery. So that's kind of cool. They delivered like coffee and donuts. Not surprising. Think, you know, there are 500,000 electric
cigarettes or something. Like,
it's something I need in 10 minutes or less. There are 500,000 electric vehicles on the road. I just thought that was interesting. It's, you know, we're slowly moving. We're a country that is relatively advanced and certainly not in this area.
Yeah.
There's 25,000 Tesla Model S's, 21,000 Chevy Volts, and 52 Priuses that are all electric, right? So Prius is like the one that was in front.
Oh, with the straight.
Yeah. The one that was known to be
the low end, I ain't gonna say low end, but yeah, low end, forefront.
Like dedicated to this industry effectively.
That's because they're ugly, dog. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just an ugly
I think they're still stuck on the hybrid, right? So the hybrid is a vehicle for long journeys, right? And these electric vehicles just aren't, right?
It's still ugly.
Yeah.
Because Escalade got a hybrid, Beamer got a hybrid, plenty of hybrids out there that look amazing.
Yeah.
The Prius
just doesn't. Yeah. You're making a statement with the Prius, and it may not be that powerful.
Ironically, I feel like the Tesla's losing value. And I say that only because one of the mistakes about the Tesla was the fact that everyone didn't have one. Right. And they were rare. And I see them at least 2 or 3 different ones every day.
Yep.
On the way home.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere now. I'm like,
And that's partly because we're in Houston, because they're really, you know, those cars are very much, I don't have to drive that far every day kind of vehicle. And so very interesting. All right, that's my kind of unrelated news.
So I got some news. Let's talk social media. Let's talk Instagram specifically. So Instagram now has 600 million users.
Wow.
That's pretty big. This Instagram is continuously growing at a rate of 100 every 9 months since December 2014. Wow. But with this latest announcement, Instagram's growth has sped up to 100 million users within 6 months. This accelerating growth is a sign of Instagram's bright future, following in the footsteps of its parent company, Facebook, who acquired Instagram in 2012. Instagram is now even bigger than Twitter, which has 313 million active monthly users.
Wow.
Punching face to you, IG. Yeah. This is definitely my social media platform of choice. Right. I do personal stuff on there, business stuff on there, ministry stuff on there, marketing stuff on there, family stuff on there. Yeah. I use stories. I use Instagram live video, which is a cool, awesome they just did. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Brand new,
so,
right?
Yeah, so punching the face to Instagram. That's what's up. Which I guess really is like a punch in the face to Facebook, because you know they're pulling the strings and all those choices.
But when the head buckles back, it hits Zuckerberg in the neck.
Exactly. so talking to Facebook, let's dig this. Facebook released some stats over 2016. Right. This is kind of cool. So government request. Right, consider government doing real. I try to tell people the internet is real. People act like you can do stuff on social media, and the government is actively monitoring social media to the point where government requests for Facebook user data were up 27% in the first half of 2016. According to the report, government requests account for data globally. 27% globally as compared to the last half of 2015. Of requests grew from 46,000 to 59,000. Right. Of just requests about account data. Yeah. So this is the government contacting Facebook saying, "Hey, we
got some suspect stuff
suspect activity going on. I need all of the account data for the last 30 days or the last 90 days for this person's account." Yeah. Whoever and Facebook actually takes a snapshot of it. And then the government is even requesting this data with a clause that says, due to the investigation, the user can't be notified. Right. And so Facebook literally has to give the government your account data, and they can't tell you that they did it.
You will not know that data has been handed off.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Big Brother is watching.
Big Brother is watching.
That's my news.
Unfortunately, he's only watching 59,000 people a year, which is not that many.
Consider how many billion active you have.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I got punches in the face.
Cool, let's do that.
These petiffs, man. This petiff, my first petiff goes to ART, aka Aaron Ralph Thomas.
Aaron,
old school podcast partner. You know what I'm saying? eWeb Results supporter. Appreciate you tuning in. He hit us up on Twitter. Said he's listening to #SL Podcast 351 from my guys at eWeb Results. Punch in the face to you, Aaron. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you tuning in. My next one is a question. Appreciate you, Ashley. I believe this is the same Ashley we have watching live. She hit us on Twitter also. She says at eWeb Results, and you can find her at Showly17. She says at eWeb Results, I'm getting conflicting advice on whether it's a must to include the site name in each title tag. Can you clarify, please?
Sure. Like the business name, right? Like
Well, the site name, exactly. So I'm assuming the site name is your site name, right? Right. If your company is eWeb Result, and you're asking, should you put eWeb Results in the title of all of your pages? And if that's your question, my answer is it depends. Yeah. It really depends on your industry. More importantly, it depends on how well known you are. Right. Right. If you're new to this industry, don't many people know about you or what you offer, then yes, you should include your site name in the title, preferably at the end, because it's not the most important thing. Your keyword should be first, but preferably at the end. So that way, when your site ranks and people see your keyword, they also associate that with your company name for the sake of building up branding. Right. Now, you're a big company. Everyone knows who you are. No need for you to brand or recognize you just by your color or whatever it may be. Then don't put your site name there. Save that real estate for additional keywords or more clarity on your title or call to action or something like that. So it kind of varies. I would say a new company, new service, new product. Yes,
more likely.
More likely. Right. Put your site name at the end, company name at the end. If you're not new, you already have solid branding. Website's been established for quite a while. You already rank fairly well for certain terms. It's not necessary to put your site name in those page titles. Yep. Ashley, hope that helps.
Let me know. Face to you, Ashley, for that question.
Appreciate you asking the question.
Awesome. Any other questions?
That was it I had.
All right, so I have I have a question here. This is from Melanie Beal. And it says, hi, Chris and Charles. Do you think it is important to submit your site and contact details to hundreds of directories? I have just had a call from a company who have offered this service for quite a lot of money. I declined. They said when a user makes a Google search, Google will look through all of these directories, compare your details with your Google My Business details, and take this into consideration when listing their search results. What are your views on this? Still, your hugest fan from the UK, punch in the face to Melanie, and she's with Pet Portraits.
Melanie, Pet Portraits, great question.
Great question.
We talk about this all the time. Directory submissions. Essentially, directory submissions is nothing but a form of link building.
Yeah.
Right. It's a form of citation management.
Right.
Right. For the sake of helping your local listings. Now, do you need to submit to 99 directories or whichever one who contacted you? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because frankly, both of them have no value. And matter of fact, we covered a few podcasts ago about how those directories that don't have value are diminishing in even what value they bring to the SEO table. Frankly, you could be penalized for some of those.
Yes.
So I would say don't do it, especially at a really expensive price. Because they got plenty of software like Bright Local or
Yext is more expensive, but not that expensive.
But not that expensive.
Definitely not call it for a lot of money.
Exactly. And so you got professional services that'll do it. Bright Local, Yext, Mars Local has it. You want some? Those three, we've actually tried all of them.
Yeah.
We do most of this manually because to be truthful with you, there's really about 6 of them, maybe 10. Yeah, you do your Google My Business, set your Yahoo and Bing Local, make sure your Facebook address is there, check Foursquare. And what you really want to do, here's a pro tip for you, make sure you have a profile on Waze.
Yes.
Everyone is migrating to Waze. If you want to do local search, make sure you have a profile on Waze. That's WAZE. Knows the show, and then catch your Chamber of Commerce and your Better Business Bureau and those type of places, and then any niche directories for your industry. You're a photographer, a wedding photographer, then you need to be in the Knot and Wedding Wire and so on. Right. So find your niche directories that's focused on your industry. Find your main core. Google, Facebook, YouTube, Bing, and then get the other city search, merchant circle, kind of Chamber of Commerce, BBB, those to kind of round it out. No more than 20 of them tops, right? That should be about it. And you pay for someone like Yext or Bright Local or Mars Local, will do that pretty inexpensively, relatively quickly also. Hope that answers the question.
Punch in the face to you, Melanie.
Let me know.
All right. So next to Chris and Chuck, I've been listening to your podcast since the beginning. I find it entertaining and have learned. Like one?
Like what is the
video? I have learned a couple of things over the years. That's a little disappointing.
You're listening to the beginning and only learned a couple of things.
353 podcasts. You didn't even learn like
you learned a couple things.
Couples 2. That's not even like 3. 1 thing per 100 podcasts would be a reasonable goal. Anyway, I think I remember a while ago, I heard one of you say that you created a Google Submit form for websites that didn't have a GSC account. I don't know. Google, I don't know what that is. Okay. Anyway, I went to find it and laugh out loud. Did you realize you don't have an on-site search box? So we went to our website and didn't find a search box. With all of the podcasts and blog content on your site, you're missing out on all your visitors searching for past conversations and doing research. Happy holidays, Mr. Bill Scully. First punch in the face for you to reach out to us. We'll get that added.
Kicking the sin to us for not having a search box. There's no. So I will say this. I actually considered it during our redesign. But I realized when I looked at our podcast pages, we don't get much activity looking at the archives. We get a lot of people catch the live feed, and then that's about it. Even our blog pages, the ones that get traffic, it's because they rank, not necessarily because people are coming to the site and looking for them. And so adding the search box wasn't top priority. But I would imagine that we have a growing audience of people who are coming back looking for certain data since we've made that redesign and that data is easier to find. And so, we'll definitely entertain adding the search box. What was his question? His question was something about replacing the Google form.
So he was trying to find where we talked about that we created a Google Submit form for a website that didn't have a GSC account.
I have no clue what you mean by GSC account. I probably should.
Google something,
Smart shopping, Google short choice.
I
just go stand cool.
Like,
I don't know what you mean by GSC. Tweet us with some details, man. I'll be glad to follow up on this question.
Mr. Bill Scully.
I'm just not entirely sure what you're asking.
All right, so now so I can kind of consider that a review because he talked about our podcast. Here's a review. It didn't have any stars. I found this one on SoundCloud, dug it up, and it literally says, and this is all caps, so it's, guys, what the actual mother, more than 3 minutes of use.
Yeah. Oomph is not spelled F-U-C-K. Go ahead.
More than 3 minutes of useless self-promotion before anything useful. You lost my attention. I am definitely skipping anything I find on the web containing your company name. By the way, our potatoes is so much longer than 3 minutes. I don't know how you got it. It's not 3 minutes.
3 minutes. He didn't get past the intro.
I don't know. That's kind of weird. Yeah, bad sense of time. I just wrote back to him and said, thank you. We'll be reading this on air on our 353rd podcast. Yeah, we're doing something right. So punch
bad, dog.
in the face to you. And I don't have a name for him. So anyway, you probably weren't going to become a customer anyway. All right, so that is the potatoes of the podcast. Time to get into the meat. This is where we jump into, and we're gonna go rapid fire. Yeah, we're gonna go rapid fire. Charles is gonna start. Our start is podcast 305. We're gonna end on podcast 329. So Charles is gonna bookend this, and yes, we reviewed this. We've got some information related to this stuff. And
go. So we started off with podcast 305 at the start of the 2016 year, and that podcast really talked about simplifying your 2016 marketing strategy. And some of those ways to simplify that included reusing your content across all your platforms. So if you're doing stuff on Facebook that's exclusive to Facebook, then repurpose that and maybe break it down some. Use it on Twitter, break it down some, add it to your site as a blog post. Maybe include some of that same content in a newsletter feed. The key is simplifying your marketing strategy by reusing previous content.
Excellent.
That was 305.
So podcast 306. The title of the article we discussed was Conversion Techniques You Can't Overlook. So promote one CTA on a landing page. Don't be all over the place and be sending people here and there. In fact, we just gave advice. Actually, Daniel just gave advice to a prospect today. Hey, get the social media off of the upper part of your website. And then we talked about reducing distractions on your website. One of the things we've really talked about a couple of times throughout this year is all of this motion going on your website. Be careful. That is a distraction. Unless that motion is pointing to the thing you want them to do, you should seriously consider getting rid of it. I do understand you can have some like credibility and cutting edge things to it, but be careful, because cutting edge and it's not what most of our customers want. They don't want cutting edge. They want customers. And that's podcast 306.
So in podcast 307, we talked about 6 mistakes that SEO rookies make. And one of the key mistakes that came out of that was having bad data, right? We spend a lot of time looking at analytics, observing where you're ranking at, how much traffic you're getting. And if you're doing that, then there's a good chance you have some bad data just due to spam and bots and not using the right filters or segmenting that data. And so I want to encourage you to create filters in your analytics to filter out spam traffic and ghost bots. And so that way, as an SEO person, you can make sure you're looking at good data. And that was podcast 307.
All right, SEO podcast 308. 4 most important SEO tasks. So, we kind of brainstormed this a little bit coming into this. Mobile friendly. Make sure you got optimized content, link building, and there's at least one more in here. We talked about identify. So the tip was identify site speed. Identify and remove duplicate content. That's a big thing that you want to take care of. And then I like this one. Use easier terms to help rank for harder terms. Once you start building that credibility, right, that kind of link juice, and you've got good placement, and we've seen this really recently, we're like, hey, that's what Chuck says all the time, easy terms for harder terms. We got great placement on some easy terms. We start targeting some harder terms, and boom, they're at the top.
They begin to rank also.
Yeah, so that was podcast 308.
In podcast number 309, we talked about the steps to content marketing success. And some of those steps included optimizing your mobile experience, so people who read that content on mobile devices can actually engage with it and pretty quickly. And we also talked about conversions, and more importantly, tracking those conversions when you're working on your content marketing success, because conversions are important. When you talk content marketing, you do content marketing to drive traffic to a site, and hopefully that traffic takes an action. They call, they fill out a form. And if you're not tracking what they're doing, and if they're converting, then you probably won't have much success with your content marketing. That was podcast 309.
Ryan, and answer that gray thing in front of the Facebook Live is actually the camera we use for YouTube, and that's where we actually push these out.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so SEO podcast number 310, the article we discussed was click-through rate isn't everything. So it says spend as much time promoting content as you do producing it. So be careful, because I mean, it's such an easy trap to fall into. You like do all of this research, you get it written, you have it edited, you rewrite it, you have version 3, draft 4, and you finish it and you put it on your blog, and you leave it there and it gets zero traffic.
Have to promote it.
Have a plan for how you're going to promote it. And this was just interesting. Discounts don't influence people if they aren't relevant. We just had a client who came to us, hey, we want to run this discount. It was so rushed, we pushed it through.
Even though we knew it wasn't going to work because it just wasn't relevant to the target audience.
It was like prepay for this and get that, which you probably don't need. Right, which is optional. And so make sure that the discounts you're offering, if you are offering, you know, my business coach often call it a dirty discounter. Actually, David calls it a dirty discounter. What you should do is add stuff, right?
Add value.
Add value. If it's, you know, an extra article or whatever in our industry, in this case, you know, add something that has a fairly low cost to you and a lot of value to that customer. So that was SEO podcast 310.
On podcast 311, we talked about the tips to improve landing page conversions. And one of those tips included designing those ads, right? Those ads that lead people to your landing page, right? And so if you design those ads based off of your audience, to understand who your audience is, right? Maybe you are a hardware store and your audience is predominantly males over the age of 35. If that's the case, then your ad should not be girly and pink, or it shouldn't be white and talk about sports, right? Your ad should be relevant to what you offer, be relevant to your audience. And that's one of the ways to improve how your landing page converts, by bringing the right people to that landing page. The second one was understanding the triggers that are on that landing page. Like after these people visit the page, what's going to make them pick up the phone and call you, or download whatever you're selling, or buy whatever it is you're selling, or request an appointment if that's what you're offering. What's going to trigger them to do that? And we talked about understanding those triggers and how to implement them on your landing page. And that was podcast 311.
All right, SEO podcast 312.
Looked like we went into some more detail about those triggers.
Exactly, yeah. This is 9 reasons your email marketing failed. Well, if you didn't have those things, it's probably going to fail. And again, about emotional triggers. And we talked about, well, one of the reasons your email marketing failed is because your landing page was bad. From a sense of emotional triggers, you want to make, you know, FOMO, fear of missing out, is something that you want to have. So maybe some time constraint.
You know, sign up today before this offer expires. Or, you know, Jordan the Champs does it well, offer exclusive for 24 hours. You know, those sort of emotional triggers drive conversions.
Absolutely. Sure. And have some excitement. You know, we did a promo video for the Guinness World Record, which we got, by the way.
Broke the record.
And you know, there's a lot of excitement. Charles is excited about releasing the SEO Rapper video. I'm excited about, hey, we're going to be pursuing a Guinness World Record. So that was podcast number 312.
On podcast number 313, we talked about don't get sucked in by SEO lies. I remember going through this article, and it was several lies that people tell in regards to SEO and whether they are true or not. One of them was that SEO is not all you need. That's actually true. It's not all you need. You need more than just SEO. It takes a holistic effort. So don't just believe the lie that you can get optimized one good time and then you'll be good. No, it takes some consistent effort, some continuous link building, some constant updates to the content, some constant improvements to your code and making your site faster. And then we also talked about opt-ins coming off of the previous podcast about email. We talked about double opt-ins having a higher open rate, and they do, because these people have signed up and then clicked the link to agree to receive it. And so that link that showed up in their inbox that they opened and clicked kind of triggers Google that any other mail that comes from this domain name is safe to land in this inbox, because they've already opened up one. Single opt-ins have a higher likelihood of landing in a promotional folder or an updates folder or a spam folder or something like that. That double opt-in actually increases the chance of them being in your inbox. And the simple fact that this person has saw this twice, they've opted in twice, they definitely have a higher likelihood of opening your email message when you send it. And that was podcast 313.
SEO podcast 314, how to make every page a landing page. We talk about this
all the time.
All the time. We have debates in-house about this all the time. And the reality is, if you've got good content in it, your goal is that it have good content and be a landing page. So now that it's a landing page, what do you do with it? We talked about every page must have a goal, right? So you want to have a couple of components on every one of your page. You want to have a CTA, a call to action. You want to have what we call a CCP, confidence and credibility piece, and a USP, unique selling proposition. Why should they do business with you? And then steer them to, this is how you do business with us. We did talk a little bit about how national outreach can work for local companies. The example to apply to our clients regularly here is, if you are a distributor for a national brand, do whatever kind of collaboration you can do with those national brands so that you can get some link juice from
so
those national
content
brands.
On those national brands. So you can get some link juice from them, and so you can benefit from all of the exposure and the legwork that they've done for your local business.
Absolutely. Sure. And that was SEO Podcast 314.
On podcast 315, we talked about 7 ways to jumpstart your pre-launch SEO, right? So we're talking pre-launch. This is before your website goes live. And 2 of the things were make sure that your visual appeals to your target audience, right? So the site that you're about to launch, that this pre-launch SEO, make sure that it's designed to captivate the audience of who your target is. And then we also talked about building out your social media profiles, right? So this is a pre-launch. You want to make sure that for SEO specifically, so you want to make sure that you have your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and all of these other profiles complete. Web address there, bio there, 10, 15 images there, video there. Make sure these are complete, built out profiles. So that way, when you do relaunch your site and you begin optimizing, you can begin to receive traffic from optimized profiles, social profiles already that should help with your ranking. And that was podcast 315.
So, and that just goes back to the podcast what we described earlier, where you spend as much time promoting, right? Because when you're launching your website, you're creating that content, spend as much time promoting it. All right, SEO Podcast 316. Again, cosign, handle the SEO basics before you launch. This was 7 ways to get more email subscribers. So this goes back to making sure that conversion page, when you get people to your website, that you've got a strong call to action. Make sure, you know, we talk about white papers all the time. Those white papers need to be really powerful and succinct, like 4 ways to double your business in 6 months would be something that would be good for us. A pool service company.
Probably write that.
Yeah.
Great title.
David, assign that task. You know, three reasons not cleaning your pool can cost you thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
Make those white papers really powerful, and then make them give you the email address and subscribe to that. And also give users full control. So if they're, like in our case, we have a lot of different options for people to kind of subscribe to different things. You want SEO tips, you want PPC tips, you want
podcast information,
website
free
tips,
webinar, whatever it is.
And you can opt in or out of any one of those. And so that was SEO Podcast 316.
On podcast 317, we kind of continued that discussion about giving users control, and the benefit to giving users control over how they opt in is one that also increases the engagement, because this person has literally dictated what they want to receive. And so when you send them what they want to receive, then they'll likely want to read it, and they'll want to open it so they can read it. We also talked about the 5 ways to use content to drive results, right? And so when you consider what those results are, if your results are downloads or results are phone calls, then you can create content that drives those results. Maybe that content should highlight the benefits and the features and the advantages of your products or services. As long as they include the right call to action and they're posted in the right places, then that content can begin to drive traffic to your site, which would generate results the right way. And that was podcast number 317.
So with SEO Podcast 318, one of the things, and this was kind of piggybacking off of 317, and this is really interesting. So if you're going to make comments, or people are making comments, why not reply with video, right? Take a video and reply, hey, whatever, Ryan, thanks for reaching out to us. The reason that we've got a gray blob in front of in front of our Facebook Live is because that's the video we use for our YouTube. Make sure you go check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/eWebResults.
The same thing we did with Ashley. Ashley posted us a digital question on Twitter, and we responded in our Facebook Live video.
Yep. Excellent. Plan an effective digital marketing strategy. We always say never throw money against the wall and see if it can stick. And one of the things we covered in this, and we talk about this fairly regularly, I know it's part of when I'm talking to prospects, 4 reasons to run a pay-per-click campaign. I'm going to give you one of them that's probably the least known, that you don't think about very often because it should have all of the other components. And that is, if you run a pay-per-click campaign, you get keyword data, right? You don't get keyword data from organic. You're down to like 3% of the data comes through in terms of the keywords that brought people to your website. With pay-per-click, you get that data. That helps you make great decisions. That's SEO Podcast 318.
On Podcast 319, we talked about 6 content marketing upgrades for your business. One of those upgrades was determining your goals before writing the content, right? So we're trying to understand how you can improve your content, or figure out what the end goal is before you write it. What do I write this piece? What do I want people to do? If my end goal is to have people share it, okay, then write it in that fashion. If my end goal is to have people read it and then click on and do something else, or click through and download, or click through and subscribe, or whatever your end goal is for this piece of content, have a great understanding of that prior to actually writing the content. That way you can keep your goal relevant throughout the content that you're writing. And that was podcast number 319.
All right, SEO Podcast 320. This is an article we covered by Julia McCoy. A 15-point checklist to make sure you're publishing worthwhile content. All right, so this is it relevant to the people that you're talking to? Make sure to check with your sales. I'm just going to give you a couple of them. Check with your sales force. If they're getting questions over and over and over again, those are probably content questions that you could answer and generate worthwhile content.
Check where you're ranking it, right? Maybe you have terms you like to rank for that you don't rank well for, that have a decent amount of search volume. Create content for those type of terms.
Check the pages that people hover on, right? So they come and visit 3 seconds here, 4 seconds here, 5 seconds here, a minute and a half here. 1, maybe because there's a video, and 2, maybe because it's got content that they're looking into. Make sure, and the tip is, make sure paid social is part of your content marketing strategy. That was SEO Podcast 320.
So Podcast 321 was called 10 social media updates from April. We were looking at that month. There was a lot of things that happened in that month. One of the key things that happened in April of this year was Facebook releasing Facebook Live. That was probably the biggest social update of the year. It had, by far, had the most impact.
I mean, it had political impact in our country.
It literally changed our podcast process. Just consider that. It was that impactful. And so
and stuck, because we've
we've made several changes. This one actually stuck with us. So out of the 10 social media updates from 2016, specifically in April, Facebook activating live was probably the biggest one. And that was podcast 321.
SEO Podcast 322. We talked about 8 SEO practices that are no longer effective. This is interesting. We had 2 algorithm cataclysms in this one. Google ads are being shown in image search, and Google extends the length of titles and descriptions. So those were obviously really important. We want to encourage users to watch videos and engage. And then related to the SEO practice no longer effective, don't use too many keywords in your meta titles and descriptions. And
this one. Who asked this question earlier?
Earlier it was I've got it written down over here. Go ahead and say it.
But don't pay for cheap directory links. That we talked about that in podcast 322. Like, it's just not necessary. Google's not valuing them, and so Melanie. That's what it was.
Excellent. So that was podcast 322.
In podcast 323, the title was 10 branding tips that will help boost your local SEO ranking. And we even had Algo Cat on that day also. It was the algorithm cataclysm. And the cat that day was food searches on Google now show a relevant photo for the dish or recipe. So if you go to Google, you search for meatloaf recipe, then you'll get a great meatloaf image, and you'll get a great meatloaf recipe within the knowledge graph. All great information. And now in regards to the tips that will boost your local search ranking, one of those tips was similar to what Chris alluded to earlier, was using PPC data to enhance those SEO rankings. So if you're running a great pay-per-click campaign, and this campaign is generating leads, like you paying for keywords, and those keywords are getting searched, getting clicked, and these people are converting, then those are keywords. That data is what you should be using to optimize for. Therefore, you will begin optimizing for a phrase that actually works, and your rankings should improve. That was podcast number 323.
SEO podcast 324. There was an algorithm cataclysm. And it says Google is going to turn up the dial on specific part of the ranking algorithm, the mobile speed test. Right, so that was an important adjustment that you need to make. The article we covered 5 content marketing goals that you should have, and you need to like brand awareness, measuring traffic, measuring leads, measuring conversions, content marketing. Like, what are you going to do with that content? Overall, internet marketing content. Let's talk about retention, because your content and marketing strategies can have an effect on that. And don't forget to upsell
in your content marketing
to the people who have already connected with you. And that was SEO podcast 324.
In podcast 325, we talked about 10 content lessons from print, which is a pretty good podcast. And you know, one of the things that came out of that was that there were plenty of great lessons to learn from print. And one of the most important was how your content is presented. Print does a great job of giving you a high quality image, easy digestible text, subheadings and things like that. So you'll know what's on this page. It's easy to scan this content before reading it. And web works the same way. When people search and they find and they begin looking at your page, they're scanning your page. And so if you take some of those same print tips, having headers, having broken down text, having digestible and easy paragraphs to read, your content will get better engagement. And that was podcast 325.
All right, SEO podcast 326. The title of the article was 12 tips for successful PPC managers. All right, so things that you want to stay focused on. Well, we talked about some algo. Yeah, we talked about an algorithm cataclysm. Google ad text has officially changed to green. That rolled back, right?
It changed. Remember, it was yellow, then it went to green, then it back to yellow.
We had an early snapshot.
It was being black, I think, at one point. Yeah.
So that changed up. So start your checklist, right? So a successful PPC manager should have a checklist. It's something that they're going to visit 20 minutes a day. That checklist is where you get started. You want to be able to quickly audit and optimize your account kind of based off of that checklist. So there's lots of places that you can find out online in order to have a great checklist for your PPC audits. Here's the tip. Remove irrelevant sites from Google Display Network. So if you're looking at the sites and it's a direct competitor, maybe you don't want it there, or maybe you do want it there, but remove irrelevant sites.
Maybe your sites are showing on mobile devices and you got Google Display running, and so your bulk of your impressions are happening inside like games and apps and things like that. Turn those off. Those are irrelevant. They drive up your cost, and they will never get a relevant click.
Add no value. That was podcast 326.
On podcast 327, we talked about 7 new e-commerce trends in SEO. We also had algorithm cataclysm that day. The algo cat was the Google 3-pack now came with local ads. So remember, they reduced the local from 7 to 3. And now around this time on podcast 327, they begin displaying ads. So if you do a search, a local search, you'll get your 3-pack, and you should see the first one is an ad, and it'll be tagged green as ad. We also talked about those actual e-commerce trends to do in SEO. And some of those trends included having long form content, including video on these e-commerce pages to help people understand what this product is about. Having long form content on these e-commerce pages that's different. Here, keyword here, different from other e-commerce sites that may be selling similar products, right? You want to take the time to enhance yours by adding video, adding content, adding more images to these e-commerce pages so they can perform well in SEO. And that was podcast 327.
All right, SEO podcast 328. The title of the article was 5 common SEO mistakes content marketers make. There was some algorithm cataclysm, and it was Facebook adjusts its algorithm to favor friend updates over brand. So this is
take the time to say, I think I hate that algorithm also. I find myself seeing the same stuff more frequently.
Yeah, I agree. Now you swipe and you're like
man, I saw that already.
Yeah,
I saw that already.
And there's some companies that you're following that you might want to see their stuff, but now they've got to pay in order to get in front of you. So yeah, that was a major cataclysm. I'm just going to cover one of these common SEO mistakes: not having a content strategy. You should have a content strategy. What are you going to write? Where are you going to put it? How are you going to augment it? Is it going to have an infographic, some video? Is it going to just be straight content that goes into a blog? Are you going to post it on LinkedIn? Or are you going to do a little bit of both? Are you going to post it on blog and then have partial put on LinkedIn and then have partial
in your newsletter, or however you're going to do it?
all of those things. That's a strategy. You need to have that strategy in place and then execute it. So that was podcast number 328.
And our last one for part one of our year in review was podcast 329. And we talked about building a perfect local SEO page, a local SEO landing page specifically. And there are some key things that are different from like a local landing page versus a national or regular landing page. If you're a local business providing a local service and you create this local landing page, then the information on that page needs to resonate with the people who find that page. Some local imagery, maybe of your building or something popular in the area that people recognize. Maybe use some verbiage. Like if you're in Houston, you should refer to 610 as the Loop, right? Because Houstonians call it the Loop. And in that way, we know that this is local. You're part of the community. We can understand this content. And so you want to make sure that your local landing page has the specific elements that speak to your local audience. And so that way, when they land, they can actually engage and convert. And that was podcast 329.
All right. So that is the
end of part one. Yeah.
End of part one of 2016 year in review, SEO year in review.
Yeah, we got one more podcast left in 2016. We'll get through 330 through 353. And yeah, we'll be a wrap.
We'll be a wrap. All right. So do we have any what news?
Oh, I do have some what news.
What? Yeah. Did you hear me on the prospect call today? Somebody called in. I was like, yeah, we have a.
Yeah, I did.
She had a Yahoo account. I was like, so did you change your Yahoo password yet? Which sounds a little creepy, actually, as I was saying it. And she's like, no, I haven't. I said, you need to change it. Like, they got hacked like 1 billion. We have a segment in our podcast called What?
I heard that. I laughed. And they're like, okay, he just hit the prospect with the what news. I did. But today's what news, were you a Mario fan?
I played Mario.
You played Mario?
Like I wasn't like his crazy Mario fan, but yeah, I played.
You played Mario?
I probably got, 100 hours clocked on it or so.
I was a Mario beast. Super Mario, Mario Kart, Go Mario, like Super Nintendo, hours, regular Nintendo.
Oh, you like a Mario.
Yeah, like Mario, dude. Yeah. Like, come on. And I used to use Luigi. How about that? I didn't even play with Mario. I used Luigi. He was like Mario's brother. You can use him too.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was because the princess really liked Luigi. She didn't really like Mario. Okay. Anyway, said all that to say Mario just broke a record on iPhone,
right?
Because they released the game available on iPhone now. 40 million downloads in the first 4 days.
Wow, 10 million a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So day Pokemon 2 they crashed them. They beat Pokemon Go by 10 million.
10 million downloads or dollars? Same thing. It's $1 a piece, right?
Yeah, downloads maybe is what I read.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Punch to the face to you, Super Mario, and the good folks at Nintendo decided to transition to an iPhone game. Frankly.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Pretty smart.
It's probably not that hard to do when you consider Mario was like 2D.
Yeah.
We won't say it wasn't.
And you certainly have the programming manpower, right?
In an iPhone or a Galaxy to do that. Definitely so.
Probably just some converting code. All right. So if you like this podcast, please, we ask you that you tell 3. In fact, I think Manny, you can see right there in Facebook Live, he shared this feed with a couple of people.
That working already?
He saw me pull out the iPad. He's like, they're going to ask me. I'm going to share it. So we just asked you to share.
Got to appreciate the regulars, man. Punch in the face to you, man.
Boom. So we just asked you if you could share with 3 people. Actually, we've got 6 people connected right now. If you could share this podcast with 3 people, and you can either do it if you're watching live.
You're watching live, man. Hit the share button, tag your favorite 3 people. Hopefully, business owners, like people who could actually benefit from the content we're putting out. Or maybe you're watching on our website. Copy that link, tweet it out to 3 people. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. If you're looking to grow your business with the largest, simplest marketing tool on the planet,
the internet,
call eWeb Results for increased revenue in your business. Our phone number is 713-592-6724. If you have a referral, somebody interested in any aspect of internet marketing,
website design, pay-per-click management, search engine optimization, social media marketing, email marketing, you name it.
Maybe you want a drip campaign, you've got a list, or you know how to get a list and you don't know what to do with that list. Contact us. We'll get that list taken care of. And if you send a referral to us and they pay their bill, we pay you. We keep it really simple. I want to talk a little bit about a new program that we have. We're calling it Instant Leads. Chuck didn't know this yet. It's called Instant Leads.
I did know this.
And it's really a pay-per-click platform. You know, one of the things that we kind of understood, and you look at the data, the conversion rate is just abysmal, which is very confusing, right? Somebody saw an ad, they searched for something, your ad showed, and they landed on a landing page and they didn't purchase. Like ostensibly everything fell into place. It's typically because of the landing page and the connection between the ad and the landing page.
The continuity between what they searched, the ad, and then the whole landing experience.
So if you or one of your referrals wants leads in 24 hours, because that's what we can do. We got to develop it, but as soon as we launch it, 24 hours later, we've already done the background on what kind of search volume is available. You're going to have leads. That's a done deal. If you want leads in 24 hours, go ahead and contact eWeb Results, and we'll ask for our instant leads, because we're going to throw you on that program. It's comprehensive. It does amazingly fast work. So kind of tune in for more on that. We don't even have it on our website yet. We need to get it added pretty quickly. All right, please remember we were filmed live here at 5999 West 34th Street, Suite 106, Houston, Texas, 77092. If you want a transcript, a video or audio of this podcast, you can find it at ewebresults.com. We are the #1 SEO and Internet Marketing podcast on iTunes. That is because of all y'all. We're probably #1 on SoundCloud, #1 on Stitcher. That is because of all of y'all. Seriously, thank you very much. Thank you for the reviews. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the insights.
You've been old boy on SoundCloud who only
pissed off,
who didn't get past our names.
3 minutes.
He didn't get past our. He was like, client results advocate Charles. Okay, these guys
suck. I'm never going to do anything related.
We appreciate you, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we need any feedback that we can. We really appreciate it. By the time we get to the next podcast, it'll be after Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everyone out there.
Happy holidays, Happy New Year, Hanukkah, whatever it is
that works for you.
Yeah, just enjoy your family, be peace, spread love.
Absolutely. And until the next podcast, my name is Chris Burris.
Charles Lewis.
Bye-bye for now.